Thank you so much for joining us here at our 6th annual Talent Connect. It's so wonderful to see you back again. This event seems to get bigger and better every year. As Wade mentioned, about 12 months ago, I added product responsibility to my role, and it's been an eventful year in terms of product development at LinkedIn. We've made improvements on foundational products and services, like reducing the amount of email we send to our members by 40%. Which has been very well received. We've also made great, a smattering of applause, thank you very much. We've also made really important progress on some big strategic initiatives. We've tripled our membership in China from 4 million over 13 million over the last 18 months. And as I think a number of people know, China is one of our largest addressable opportunities in the world. We completed the acquisition of lynda.com. So we're now in the learning and development space. Very excited about that. That's a big deal for us in terms of completing, we think that's the last piece of the puzzle in terms of the economic graph. So above all else, we have what is arguably one of the most exciting product roadmaps, certainly in the 7 years that I've been at the company. And when it comes to our roadmap, like everything else at LinkedIn, that starts with our mission to connect the world's professionals, to make them more productive and successful. And when we talk about professionals or knowledge workers, we're talking about 780 million people in the world we want to create value for. And thus far, we've signed up 380 million. So we continue to scale as we realize this mission statement. And with that additional scale, we're in a position to dream even bigger. And when it comes to dreaming, it starts with our vision to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, all 3 billion people in the global workforce. We're going to make that possible by developing the world's first economic graph, digitally mapping the global economy. Ultimately, we'd like there to be a profile for every member of the global workforce on LinkedIn, all 3 billion of them. We'd like a profile for every company in the world. There's between 60 and 70 million companies in the world when you include small and medium-sized businesses. We'd like there to be a digital representation for every available job opening, roughly 20 million that are digitally accessible. A digital representation for every skill, the tens of thousands of standardized skills required to obtain those jobs. And with the acquisition of Lynda, we now feel we're in an even stronger position to make that possible. We'll have a profile for every university, higher educational organization, and vocational training facility, the folks that enable our membership to acquire the skills take on those roles. And we're developing a publishing platform that will enable every individual, every company, every university that's interested in sharing their professionally relevant knowledge the opportunity to do so. And then we want to take a step back and allow all forms of capital, intellectual capital, working capital, and human capital to flow to where it can best be leveraged. And in doing so, we want to help lift and transform the global economy. Now, at this point, as the CEO, I would traditionally talk about the state of our company, a state of the union, talk about the business. But this year, we're going to try something different, completely new. This year, we're going to walk you through the next generation of some of LinkedIn's most important products, all of which are oriented around a singular value proposition: to connect our members and our customers to opportunity. And where better to begin than our mobile flagship application? Over half of the engagement on LinkedIn on a weekly basis is coming through this current flagship app. And I want to start with the current app to provide some context. So by now, hopefully everyone here is familiar with this screen. Show of hands, how many people have the current flagship mobile app? It's just about everyone. And this is our homepage. It's a feed. It shows you a little bit of everything that's happening in your professional world. And if you're interested in additional functionality, you go up and to the left and you click on that little logo, and it takes you to this navigation screen. There's a lot of products and services that are offered here. And that, to some extent, is a byproduct of the fact we originally developed this product several years ago when we were still a desktop-first company. That's where the majority of the engagement was taking place. And as a result, we tried to replicate a lot of that functionality that was on the desktop into the smaller real estate. And you can see an example of some of those different products and services here. It's a lot going on, and not necessarily an integrated, holistic approach. And if we're being honest, what started as the effort of one team grew to many teams. And to some extent, you could start to see our organizational structure on the screen as opposed to our best product effort. So we decided to hit the pause button, and we asked ourselves the question, if we could start all over, what would we build from scratch? The answer was fairly straightforward. We would want to develop something that's mobile first, taking full advantage of the mobile environment. We would want to do fewer things done better and strip it down to its most essential qualities. We would develop an app that's faster and more responsive, that's simpler and more intuitive, that's smarter and more personalized. And above all else, we would want to make sure we were developing with one team, one shared vision, and one holistic, seamlessly integrated mobile application. And that's exactly what we did. So for the last several months, we've been developing the next generation of our flagship mobile application. Internally, we refer to that as Project Voyager. And we're going to do something we haven't done previously, really ever. We're going to walk you through that product despite the fact that it's not going to launch for another several weeks. And I felt it was important to do that here. One, because this is our largest customer event of the year, and two, and perhaps more importantly, it's because of you, our recruiting partners, without which LinkedIn wouldn't be what it is today. So we felt strongly about showcasing this for the first time to this audience here and now. So with that, let's go ahead and open up Project Voyager. And the first thing you'll notice are 5 tabs, fewer things done better. So Home, Me, Messaging, My Network, and Search. So let's begin with the home experience. And there's going to be an evolution here from a little bit of everything to what matters most to you professionally. And how do we know what matters most to you professionally? Well, we know about you from your profile, we know about you from your connections. We're also, for the first time, going to ask you what you're interested in following and what matters most. So we're going to introduce a seamless onboarding process, very lightweight, that's going to recommend certain things for you to follow. It's going to help you unfollow those things that over time have brought less value to you. And you can see here an example of this very lightweight onboarding process. We know from my profile I work in the internet industry and are going to make some recommendations and suggestions of people to follow, influencers to follow, companies and publishers to follow. And that's really it. Those recommendations can be based on your title, they can be based on your current company. When you're done that process, you're going to be in a new feed, a more relevant feed, a feed that matters more to you. And here's a perfect example. This is taken from an actual feed experience of mine. And at the very top, there's going to be a new kind of content update, what we call a content pool. And this is articles trending at my company, at LinkedIn. This is an incredibly valuable way to keep my finger on the pulse of what our employees are talking about and sharing. And as recruiters trying to tell your company's narrative, tell your company's story, you know how important this is. So this is very timely. Grace Hopper is one of the largest recruiting events for women in engineering of the year. We're going to have our biggest presence ever. And I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes from Erica, who's a director of engineering at LinkedIn. She's leading our efforts there, and you can see she commented. As I scroll down the feed, I'm going to see when people I'm following or people I'm connected to are mentioned in the news. It's one of our most popular updates. I'm going to see when folks are publishing new content, so I can stay current on things that are important. And I can see when companies I'm interested in, highly relevant companies to our industry, are being written about by publishers that I'm following. The last example here is arguably one of the most important. And this, if we could go back one. The last example here is an example of conversations that matter. So we don't just want the feed to be about information and news. We want to increasingly bring it to life. It wouldn't be dissimilar from when you attend a great event, a conference, and after session, you're in a common area, and you're bumping into people you haven't talked to in a while, and you're having serendipitous conversations about what's happening in the news, the industry, what's happening with your career. We We want to bring that into the feed. And here's a real-life example. So several weeks ago, we did an update talking about the importance of thanking mentors. And this really hit home for me. About 25 years ago, I was given my first real job as an intern at a marketing firm that was founded by a woman named Jennifer Deere. And I mentioned her in a comment after I shared that particular blog post. And it turns out Jennifer saw that she had been mentioned and came back in and commented back to me. And despite the fact, you can see here, there's 191 comments on this particular share, on this particular update, Jennifer's, as a first-degree connection, popped to the top. So I was able to see that she responded to me, and I was able to reply back to her. And it was wonderful to reconnect with her. And Jennifer, if you're out there watching somewhere, thank you again for giving me my start. We all have to begin somewhere, and I wouldn't be on this stage today if it weren't for you. So this idea of sharing content, being mentioned, liking, commenting, all of this represents who you are on LinkedIn. It represents your professional brand. And your professional brand is so important, we want to give you a way to manage that all in one place. And we call that tab Me. Historically, this was spread across at least 5 different experiences. Going forward, it's going to be in one holistic experience on this tab. And so, for example, if I missed the fact that Jennifer had mentioned me in my feed, because it's moving pretty quickly, I'd be able to come back to this particular experience and see that she commented. And as we scroll down, I can see when people are liking my updates, when they're sharing my updates, when they're commenting. I can click on any one of these and participate in the discussion. I can see when I've added new followers. I can see when people are viewing my profile. And on that last point, because that's such an important one, if I scroll back up to the top, I'm going to be able to click in the upper left and go into kind of a dashboard experience where I'm getting analytics about who viewed my profile, and I can go deeper. And this is just the beginning in terms of what we're capable of bringing to you to measure your professional brand. Ultimately, this could be a dashboard for your professional life. Another example would be, as you continue to build out your audience, the demographics and psychographics of the people that are reading your content. So with nearly 200,000 people who viewed my profile over the last 90 days, and I do recognize that may be a little unusual, being the CEO of LinkedIn definitely has its perks, its privileges. It is a lot of fun to have that kind of viral fire hose, I must say. You can kind of point into different content. Our employees have become very savvy about this. Every now and again, I'll get an email saying, "Hey, Jeff, just curious to hear your feedback on my post," which is a not-so-subtle way of saying, "Fire hose this, drive tons of traffic." All right, it's an aside. So with all of these people viewing my profile, I want to make sure that it's in good shape. And so, again, all in one place, I can click on my picture there, and I'm brought into what is by far and away the most intuitive way of editing my profile via mobile that we've ever had. You all know how important that is. The easier we make it for people to edit their profile, the more likely you are to see fresh and relevant results when you're searching for the perfect candidate, and the more likely our membership is to connect to opportunity. Now, when you've found the right person, you're going to have to figure out a way to get in touch with them. And over the last few weeks, by now you may have noticed, we have replaced our inbox with a messaging capability. So welcome LinkedIn to the 21st century of communications. A little long in the making, but we got there. And messaging is clearly the preferred mechanism through which people are communicating. It's much faster and more casual. There's much less friction, instant gratification. And you can see here an example. You all know how it works, but this was a conversation I was having with a colleague named Brian about whether or not he was going to be coming down to Talent Connect. And yeah, what messaging experience would be complete without stickers? In all seriousness, stickers do more than just generate a laugh. They help personalize and humanize the experience. And just because we're a professional network doesn't mean it needs to be sterile. And we want to provide an outlet for people to show their personality more on LinkedIn. This is going to be a big improvement on a going forward basis. And when you as recruiters are able to show that personal touch, we think that's going to make a big difference for things like InMail. And here's an example where someone reached out to me to offer me a board position. We're very focused on getting the look and the feel of this experience right so we can help you drive up those InMail response rates. Coming soon, we're going to be adding conversation starters to the desktop messaging experience. So you can see when someone's celebrating a work anniversary or has just been promoted. And that's going to enable you to reach out at the click of a button and start a dialogue and engage with your prospect in a really meaningful way. These conversation starters are such an important part of what we do in terms of nurturing your network, not just building your network, but nurturing your network, staying up to speed with the people that matter most to you. We created a dedicated experience, and we call it My Network. It's a daily briefing on what's happening in your professional world. So a few examples here at the top. These are real-life examples. Shannon Stubo, our head of marketing and communications, just recently celebrated her 5th anniversary at LinkedIn. Shannon, there's Shannon, so congratulations, Shannon. And you can see renowned executive recruiter Jim Citron just recently published a post over the weekend. Some of you may have seen it, essentially on the art of the interview. He's amazing at that. This post has generated over 300,000 views. And so you can reach out and let Jim know how much you enjoyed the article. And another example where a former colleague of mine, a friend, Rob Solomon, he and I used to work together at Yahoo. And Rob just became the CEO of GoFundMe. And when he made it official, I was able to click that very intuitive call to action to say congrats. That opens up within the app our messaging experience. This was a real back and forth the two of us had. And it was great to hear how well Rob is doing. So as valuable as these conversation starters are, this is just scratching the surface. We're going to be adding calendar integration. And with calendar integration, if you opt in, we're going to be able to provide you information that anticipates your needs, say for an upcoming meeting. And again, here's a real example. So this afternoon, I'm going to be meeting with Sangeeta. Sangeeta, are you out there? It's a big, oh, there she is. Hi, Sangeeta. How are you? So Sangeeta, that's the first time we've interacted. So it's true. Sangeeta, as you can see, is an SVP of recruiting at Wells Fargo. And by virtue of my calendar being integrated into the application, it's giving me a heads up we're going to be meeting later today, and it's providing me a clear call to action to view her profile to learn a little bit more about her. This is extremely valuable. I can't tell you the number of times I walk into a meeting wishing I had that advanced information and kind of sneaking a peek at LinkedIn under the table. So if we go ahead and click through, we're going to see Sangeeta's profile. And there's some essential information at the top. As I scroll down a little bit, you're going to see a new section called Highlights. And this is what Sangeeta and I have in common. So it turns out we both know Wade, which is good to know. I think by now everyone here knows Wade, given that he's hosting the event. So that may be a little less insightful. What's more insightful is the fact apparently we're both interested in education causes. Didn't realize that. Looking forward to connecting with you on your focus on education. For me, the most interesting thing, and Sangeeta, I hope you don't mind, as we scroll down, we can see her experience, and that's a lot of Wells Fargo. You don't see that every day in this day and age, right? So it turns out Sangeeta's been at Wells Fargo for 26 years, and she started as a teller, and she's now an SVP of recruiting for community banking. Very, very cool. That applause is an example of how we bring people's profiles to life, how we tell their stories. So very valuable stuff. The next day, it's not just about anticipating the needs before the meeting, it's also after the meeting. Because the next day when I come into this experience, I'm going to see a new card, a new experience, where I'm going to be able to ask Sangeeta to connect. And we can essentially eliminate business cards that way. So as excited as we are about this anticipatory computing, we're even more excited about where we can take this going forward. And with a little bit of artificial intelligence in the future, I won't just be getting information before the meeting. I could actually ask the app whether or not Sangeeta is going to be at Talent Connect at the same time I am. And if she is, to set up a meeting for the two of us, get that on the calendar, and then provide me the briefing. So stay tuned for where we can take this kind of functionality. As I scroll down here, it's not just about nurturing your network, it's also about building your network, and you see the classic people you may know experience. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a notification, and if we go ahead and click on that, it's going to show me pending invitations. I can scroll through this really quickly. I know that's a pain point sometimes, getting through all of your invites. This makes it very frictionless. I can go ahead and accept that top invite. I'm going to be prompted to send that individual a message, which again, it's holistically developed, so we're excited about that. Last but certainly not least, is our new search experience for Project Voyager. This is by far and away the fastest mobile search experience that we've developed to date. 300% faster. We've empiricized that. It's so fast that we started playing a game internally at the company where we try to figure out how few letters we need to input before the search provides us the name of the person we were looking for. We can do that because of the intelligence of the search engine, knowing who you're connected to, what kinds of things you're interested in. So the first time I tried to use this, I was going to look up our founder, Reid Hoffman. And I typed in the letter R. That's the same reaction I had. I was like, whoa. I actually thought it was so fast that the developers had put a canned demonstration on my phone. I'm serious. They're like, nope, that's all server side. It's literally that fast. I can't wait for you to check it out. This isn't just the fastest mobile search that we've done to date. It's also the smartest. Let me give you an example. Let's say I wasn't already at LinkedIn, and let's say I was still working my way up through my career path. And watching today's presentations, I got excited about the company, and I was potentially interested in a job at LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and input LINK on the search engine, and you'll notice we're going to start to interpret what it is that you're looking for, because we want to better understand your intention as quickly and easily as possible. In this particular case, the search is now asking me, am I looking for jobs at LinkedIn, people at LinkedIn, the company profile of LinkedIn, and if you scroll down a little bit further, someone named Link at LinkedIn. There's a lot of Lincoln going on here. Lincoln, if you're watching, hello, he's wonderful. You may not have known he was going to be in this presentation. It's too good to pass up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Jobs at LinkedIn. And integrated into the Voyager experience, you're going to see some jobs. That first one looks pretty interesting. By the way, we've also added a facet, intuitively understanding people are going to want to search by location. I click on that first result. It's a corporate development role. And now, still in the application, I can apply at the click of a button by submitting my profile, taking out all that friction. I can see insights about other applicants. I can scroll down, and I can see who posted the job. I can see who I know at the company. And if I need more information, I click through to the company profile. There I click on the Careers tab, and as I'm scrolling down, again, all still in the same app, I can see a SlideShare presentation that we've loaded that talks about our culture. I can see a video that interviews our employees talking about their experience at LinkedIn. And all of these tools are now going to be available to you and your companies, so you can tell your stories within our mobile flagship experience for the first time. And remember, over half of our membership is engaging through these kinds of channels. So it's going to be really powerful. At the onset of Thank you. At the onset of the introduction of Voyager, I talked about fewer things done better. But we do recognize the fact that certain use cases are deserving of their own experiences altogether. And a perfect example of that would be the job search use case. So this is all really helpful, but if I wanted to go even deeper, we're going to make that as easy as possible. So coming back to the home page, you're going to notice for the first time in the upper right-hand corner 9 dots. This is going to be an app launcher that we're introducing. And if I go ahead and click on that, I'm going to be able to see the applications from LinkedIn in our multi-app portfolio I already have, and I'm going to be able to see some additional applications that I can download to generate more value. So at the click of a button, I'm going to go through job search, and before long, I'm going to have that pure play job search experience. And here I can go deeper. I can get alerts on job searches that I've done. I can save job searches. There's going to be another layer of insights available. Over time, this app launcher, like the rest of this application, is going to get smarter and more intelligent and anticipate your needs. So as a job seeker, I may not have all the requisite skills I need to connect to opportunity. And if that's the case, we'll know it. We'll know it from your profile and the jobs that you're looking for. So if I come back to the home page, I'll now see that the app launcher is sending me a notification, because in this case, it's going to recommend the Lynda application. So I can acquire the right skill, and I can connect to the right opportunity. If I go ahead and click on the Lynda app, normally it would open up the app, but today we're going to do you one better. Today I'm going to bring up Tanya Staples, who was one of the people absolutely essential to building Lynda into the company it is today, and one of many reasons we're so excited to welcome Lynda to the LinkedIn family.